Chapter 20 explores the alternative theories of change, describes school cultures of continuous improvement, and examines change at the individual level. The imagery of education reform says that more about hope and good intentions than it does about anything else. That road to hell is indeed paved with good intentions is an adequate, quite appropriate to the history of educational reform. The need for education change is apparent as the fact that our world is continuously changing at an ever-increasing rate. Changes in the U.S. demographics, culture, environment, science, technology, and economy mean that our schools must change if they are to prepare students to be successful and contributing members of society. And if society is going to offer all of this, citizens life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Local educators must ask these questions: why they want to change, what they want to achieve, and how to go about the change process. Educators need to ask a fourth question as well: how can we measure success? Education change theory says that over the last several years, a growing body of new theory on school change has emerged in the educational literature. Much of this recent theory is based on the study of actual efforts at school change. As one might expect, the experts who present theories of school change do not agree completely, but they do agree in large part on key concepts. Some of the concepts are capacity. Many schools lack the capacity to initiate significant improvement efforts with a reasonable chance of success. Commitment. How do teachers develop a commitment to change? On the one hand, merely mandating change does not work. Leadership. In matters of school change, traditional top-down leadership is a recipe for failure. Leadership, to be effective, must be spread throughout the organization. Problem solving. Given the complexity and unpredictability of change at the school level, problems will arise. Like problems, conflicts are necessary to the success of the change process. In fact, supervisors should worry about the absence of conflict, which would signal either apathy about innovation or opponents working behind the scenes to sabotage the innovation. Support. Educational change theory suggests the need for both external and internal support. Network of schools involved in change efforts, often sponsored by universities, can provide multiple layers of external support. Coherence. Two enemies of coherent change are overload and fragmentation. Overload means that a school is involved in too many change initiatives. Fragmentation means that different change initiatives are disjointed or even at cross purposes. Some obvious ways to move forward or toward coherence are to be selective about the number of change efforts and to make sure that change efforts are consistent. Ultimately, school culture should be of continuous improvement. Change must be made at the individual level with 6 stages of concern. 0 being awareness, through 6 refocusing. Chapter 21, addressing diversity. Given the growing diversity in the United States and continuing achievement gap between different student groups, addressing diversity in our schools has been an increasingly critical need. People are not born with prejudice and bias that contribute to the achievement gap. These attitudes are taught, and schools can teach future citizens different attitudes about those who belong to different cultures. Also, students from diverse cultures do not underachieve because they are less intelligent or less interested in learning than students from the dominant culture, but because of the incompatibility between their culture and traditional schooling in United States society. If we need to change schools and the way we teach to close the achievement gap, then addressing diversity should be a task of instructional supervision.
The relationship between schools and the communities. A school can only be successful or deemed successful if the school itself resembles success on the inside, as far as in the form of observations, testing, and expectations. But to be observed as successful by the community is a whole nother entity. The community has to take an active role in the students and the academics that's taking place inside of the school. Community involvement looks towards those stakeholders that socialize and interact with students on a more personal level outside of the school setting. The school community is a place in which active and engaging roles can take place that are beneficial to academics and the learning process. As administrators and teachers, it is our goal and objective to reach out into the community, working with those stakeholders, making sure they have an active part in the educational process. As stakeholders, it is up to them to reinsure and help us re-emphasize the academics, skills, and concepts that are being stressed inside of the classroom. Many community leaders and businesses want to get involved, but simply do not know how. As faculty and staff in the educational environment, it is up to us to form the ways in which they can actively take part in our school and our school events. The students look forward to being involved and integration with the community in the schools. It is a way to help us re-emphasize how important the skills that we are being taught. To have those outside representatives come into the schools, re-emphasizing and helping and assisting with our students in the learning process builds that bridge in which is so vital and is also lacking in most communities. As part and a stakeholder in my community and a teacher as well, I understand the relationship that has to be bonded for that involvement to take place. It is the only way and the clear way to indeed be visible is to get people involved and let them know what is going on in our schools. There are a few ways to do that. There are bulletin boards, there are news publications that can be circulated, there is parent calls, there is school calls, and there's also different programs and events that we can host at the school inviting community members and leaders to come out. This reemphasizes and brings out parent supports. This helps us with any other resources that we may be lacking or we may be able to enrich. And it sets a great picture for our students, letting them know what they learn inside of the classroom can and indeed needs to be applicable outside of the classroom. As far as diversity in the schools go, it is essential to also employ diversity techniques and knowledge. It is important because as they're employing their 21st century learning skills, they need to be able to be adaptable and understanding as well. They need to know how to interact with other people and collaborate with others. Other than their own background, they need to be exposed to diverse cultures, understanding traditions, and other events that may be from other cultures across the globe. Another way of doing this is to employ techniques and celebrations brought up by heritage months. Another way to do this is to employ different cultural perspectives as far as learning, as far as how society interacts. A lot of ways as integrators, us as teachers, we delve into the curriculum looking for ways in which we can integrate these skills and which that we can continue to make our students diverse learners. One of the things that we've discussed are multimedia presentations that gear towards other perspectives and learning in the same cause. As teachers and administrators effectively collaborate, we cannot forget the culture in which we serve, the traditions in which we cater to, and the understanding of our students. Continuing to employ our community is just another way that we can advance our students and help them to continue be culturally responsive in their thinking.